Welcome to I'm Not Wearing Pants, the podcast where pants are always optional. My name is Guy, and I'm the man
will you put on some pants?
without the pants. This pod is the definitive place to track the most important trends in the only fantasy league that matters, the Trash Talkers Playground. However, since my guest today is the co-host of my other podcast, No One Asked for This, we decided to combine them for the podcast event of the decade. Woo! No one asked to wear pants. We are touching the third rail here because no one gives a shit about fantasy football, or at least no one gives a shit about other people's fantasy football leagues. But since our league focuses on shit talk, we figure why the fuck not? But first, a word from our sponsor. This week's pod is sponsored by No One. No One, the perfect sponsor for people who don't like being sued. Babs, how are you?
I'm excellent.
Are you excited to bring our fantasy football trash talk to the public?
I am excited to share the things that I have observed this season with the general public, yes.
Just as a bit of background, the Trash Talkers Playground is a newer fantasy football league. This is only our 5th year together, but you and I have both won the Trash Talker of the Year award, so I feel like we are experts and our opinion should be valued as such in the league. So we're going to start off, we're basically going to do this podcast a lot like we do our No One Asked for This podcast, but talking about the things that we talk about on the No Pants podcast. And let's start with our gut reaction. To your gut reaction, where would this year rank as far as the trash talk in the league as compared to our first 4 years?
I would say this year has far more content as far as like online content for trash talking. In previous years, it kind of started out a little bit more live action, like face-to-face trash talking with a little bit of online, and then it kind of became mostly online hostage videos, as it were.
So where would you rank it?
I would rank it in second place this year.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. The first year we did this is still my number one. It might be the nostalgia of it, but this year is a close second. Definitely more online content this year than any other year. But I do miss the face-to-face trash talk. So close second is this year.
Yeah. There's a lot of new blood this year that made it exciting as well.
And now we're going to move on to the most memorable moment. So this can be from any of the 5 years of the league. So far in the 5 years that we've been doing this, what was the most memorable moment of trash talk?
So far in the 5 years, I have two that I picked, one from this year and one from, I think it was last year. For this year, I picked the Brooks and Hours video, which was put out by Team Name Trivia, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves this week. I don't even keep track. It was a drunk ramble, and it was very funny to listen to because they couldn't keep track of what and who they were supposed to be trash talking, and they were throwing in people's names who aren't even in the league. So for the second one, I'm going with Team Name Smallest Penis, whatever he's calling himself. And he did a video where he was basically like just chugging a bunch of drinks. I think he starts by chugging a glass of wine. And it was very funny. It reminded me of, remember the guy that does like the wine drinking and ranting videos?
Whine about it.
Yep. And so I thought that was a great one. He put his liver out there for our entertainment.
Those are pretty good ones. My most memorable moment is still going to be also from My Johnson's Better Than You, and when he shaved his hair to look like Stephen A. Smith and then shot a pretend ESPN segment about fantasy football. I thought that was pretty clever, and the commitment of actually changing your actual hair just for a fantasy football trash talk video, that's a level of commitment that I respect. The next category that we're going to move on to is our bums and bosses. And I'm going to give a bum, and you're going to give a boss, I believe. And so we'll start with the negative, which is the bum. And that's going to go to Murda Inc. The fantasy record is awful. The trash talk that he has put up is mediocre. And so he's going to be, so far, the bum. Who's your boss?
Mediocre is a high compliment for that team. The boss, well, at the risk of sounding like I'm sucking your dick, because I do that, but that has nothing to do with this, is I think that I'm going to go with team name podcast extraordinaire.
Cockknockers.
Anyway, and not for any of the podcasting, I'm going to go with your wrestling Hell in a Cell video, because as a wrestling fan, I thought it was a hilarious tongue-in-cheek, and it was very it was very funny to me.
I had a lot of fun filming that, but it was also difficult to get through because there was no cuts. It was all one take, and I kept laughing at the absurdity of it. So, but it was fun to film. And now we're going to move on to what is usually our most valuable performer category in the No One Asked for This podcast, but we're going to do it in the framework of the No Pants podcast, which is winners, placers, and no-shows. That's how we categorize who we think is winning, losing, or doing even worse than that in shit talking on the podcast. So we're going to start with the no-shows. For my no-shows, I have Team Murda Inc., Team Worldwide, Team Go Nats, and Team Dupree's Nuts.
I have 3 of the same people in that category.
What do you got?
I got Murda Inc., I got Dupree's Nuts, and I got Worldwide. I did not place Go Nats in this category because the no-show category is for people who have literally done nothing. And I would not say that about that other team.
That is your team, and my reasoning is exactly what you said earlier, which is you come up with good ideas, and then you leave them on the table. So as a no-show, it's because of your underperforming, and maybe I just want to motivate you. Next up is our placers. For my placers, I have the double entendres, and Andy is our bitch, which is kind of funny that they're in the same category. I think that they have been decent, but I expect a lot more. And honestly, the bar has been raised this year for being in the winners category, and they're just not clearing that bar yet. Who do you have?
I have those 2 same teams, but I also put Go Nats in this category, and I also put House of Pain in this category. I feel like to be in the winner circle, you have to do videos. I fucking hate doing videos myself, but you have to do videos. And none of these people in the placers category have really done a lot of videos.
Finally, we're going to move on to our winners. The only category that really matters when you're trying to win a Shit Talker of the Year award is staying as close to the winners section as you can as you go week to week. And who do you have as your winner so far?
I have just a bunch of gentlemen in this category, unfortunately. A bunch of overinflated egos. But here we go. I have Mike Johnson is better than yours. Long-ass trivia name, Melvin and the Chub Monkeys. And I have the underwear team extraordinaire, the Cockknockers. I think all 3 of these teams have put out a lot of content, a lot of video content.
I have a similar list. I mean, and probably for similar reasons. I have Melvin and the Chubmonks as my borderline, and mostly because it's their first year. It's easy in your first year to kind of hit the ground running because you have all the ideas. You haven't burned anything yet.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've been multiple years, you don't want to repeat ideas. You want to keep it original.
You're like, I already did that one. I can't keep doing that same one.
And also, they change their name every week, so there's no legacy. The other team I have is House of Pain, and he's doing pretty good, but no video content as of yet. He does write the reviews, and that's a pain in the ass because I would never even try that. So props for that, but need some video content to get to that next echelon. Next up would be My Johnson's Better Than You. Good video content, great original ideas as usual, as he is every year. He is the reigning shit talker of the year, so we're all looking to dethrone him anyway. And just another solid year from here. And then myself, which is the Cock Knockers. And I can't really say anything about myself because you can't vote for yourself for Trash Talk of the Year anyway. So, but I'm looking to win my second Shit Talker of the Year. You're also trying to win your second, and I believe that My Johnson's Better Than You is trying to win his third. So we are the gold standard for shit talking in the league, and everyone else should be trying harder to catch us.
I can't believe you put yourself in the winner's circle.
Now, finally, let's talk about our special shout out. My special shout out is going to go to the Double Entendres. Years ago, I want to say 3 years ago, it might be 4, he did a video where it was a Mr. Perfect homage. Back in WWF, he used to shoot these videos of him like doing sports things and bragging about how good he was at everything because he's Mr. Perfect. And Double Entendres owner did a version of that for himself, and I kind of like that because anything wrestling is automatically on my radar, but also that was one of my favorite wrestlers as a kid, so respect. What about for you? Special shout out.
Special shout out. I'm a special shout out. There are a couple members of this league who currently do not have a team, but they do have voting rights. And I would like to shout out to both of them. Hope that they would think hard about their voting capabilities and vote for, the best of the best of the best. With honor, sir.
Well, that's it for this week. Special thanks to my co-host Babs. I'm Guy. Next week's episode of No One Asked for This, we are going to be talking about the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. And if you were thinking this was a waste of your time, remember, no one asked to wear pants.
Hey, bro, you mind putting on some pants? I find it a little weird I have to ask twice.